feel like your elders think that they can say anything to you or do anything to you, and then if you have a response to that, and you don't even have to be being disrespectful, you're not cursing, you're not nothing, but if you just come to them like, you know what, I feel like in this particular moment you were wrong and you made me feel like this. Oh, now you talking back. Oh, now you disrespectful because you called them out on their bullshit. What's up, guys? It's Coach Shenae, and I am back with another video. Today is such a beautiful day. I just had to come down here real quick and make this video in front of the pool because I'm gonna get in tomorrow. I ain't gonna get in today because I'm busy, but I'm gonna get in tomorrow for sure. So the purpose of this video today, we are going to be talking about, drum roll, we are going to be talking about breaking toxic family cycles. Yeah, I would bet money that everybody, I would say 99% of families have some type of toxic generational curses that they acknowledge or realize as they got older. And now it's like, okay, what do I do with this? Do I keep this going? Or do I finally be like, you know what? It stops here with me. And that's just how I be feeling. I be feeling like when I do have kids and I do create a family of my own, a lot of shit that I learned growing up or, you know, couldn't do and could do and just all that stuff, like I just want to dead it with me. So for me, it's getting more knowledge and getting more understanding on why I am the way I am and how to now unlearn some of the shit that I learned growing up and to be a better person. Because, you know, people be like, well, that's how I was raised, that's what I was taught. And it's like, yes, you were, but that don't mean that you got to continue with the toxicity. Like, you really have a choice to be like, you know what, we not gonna do this no more. This is what we doing. And I made this video because for one, it is important, and for two, I actually talk about it in my book. You know, one of the chapters is called Breaking Generational Curses. So the information that I'm going to talk about today really comes straight from this book. And if you have not pre-ordered your book, make sure that you get your copy, okay? I will link it in the description, but I am going to be talking about breaking generational curses from my book. So the first thing that I want to discuss is I want to discuss positive family impacts, right? So again, this is going to require some thought. This is why I created a workbook so that you can actually think about it and write down your answers. So discuss positive family impacts. So this pretty much means what did you learn growing up that was actually positive and not negative? So for me, I grew up and for me, it was like it was two families for me. It was like a family experience on my dad's side and then like a family experience on my mom's side. So I'll talk a little bit about both. So from my dad's side, positively, I learned about family and eating together and celebrating the holidays together. And even when somebody wrong, you know, just still having your family back. Now the missing piece to that is having a back in the wrong, but then getting a ass together behind the scenes. Like, I'm gonna tell you about yourself right after this. I'm not gonna embarrass you in front of these people, but I'm gonna tell you about yourself. So I feel like that was missing on my dad's side of the family, because it was like they would know the person wrong, but still not even call them out. Like, really, you ain't even gonna tell them that they was wrong and that they shouldn't have did this or they should have stepped up and did X, Y, and Z. So I feel like that was the positivity. Just the family aspect on my dad's side of the family. Feeling loved, knowing that I was going to, knowing this, just that, like, when we went down south, we was gonna eat good, we was gonna laugh good, we was gonna be together, and that was something that I really looked forward to. On my mom's side, the positives was my grandma. She was like the glue of the family. So even though we were not as close on my mom's side like we were on my dad's side, my grandma was the super glue, and we would always see each other in passing at my grandma's house. Like, oh, you finna go to grandma's house? Like, oh, I'm going over there too. And on Thanksgiving, you know, my grandma had her infamous dressing, the best dressing hands down, and on either side of the family. And I never had no dressing that's been better than my granny dressing, for real. I ain't even gonna lie. But she taught me just how to be a strong grandma, and you know, my mama taught me about being independent and working and taking care of your kid and not waiting for a man to step up and do something or step up and say that they, you know, got it. Like my mama, you know, that was like the positive sides on my mom's side of the family. So independence I learned, and being the glue, and you know, holding things together. So yeah, it's like my list not that long, and I'm not saying that I had a horrible upbringing, but now that I'm 30, I'm like, you know, it was I don't know, it was more close on my dad's side, and then on my mom's side it was more, you know, we knew we was family, we would go over each other's house, but it wasn't like that close-knitness that I, you know, would have liked. Now I want to talk about the negative family impacts. Oh my goodness. I don't want to sound harsh, but you know, it is what it is, and I'm speaking this out loud because I want to be the change that my family needs. Like I want the toxicness to stop with me when I raise my family. So, excuse me, on my dad's side of the family, nobody held nobody accountable to this day. In 2021, nobody holds anybody accountable on my daddy's side of the family, and that's toxic. Very, very toxic. I also don't like how stuff happens and it's like, oh, that's another thing. I'm sorry. Let me slow down. I don't like how when you become an adult, you can't even have a real conversation or, you know, speak your piece because it's looked at as you're talking back. So we are just supposed to take a certain type of treatment, you know, whether that's more times than not, it is a verbal treatment now. So like, I just feel like your elders think that they can say anything to you or do anything to you, and then if you have a response to that, and you don't even have to be being disrespectful, you're not cursing, you're not nothing, but if you just come to them like, you know what, I feel like in this particular moment you were wrong and you made me feel like this, oh, now you talking back, oh, now you disrespectful because you called them out on their bullshit. And it's very, very toxic. And I want to say it's really more heavily on my dad's side of the family because they are older. My aunties and stuff are a lot older than my dad. And the way that they just been conditioned and brainwashed to where even as an adult, you cannot speak up for yourself without it looking as a form of disrespect. I don't like that. On my mom's side of the family, we definitely speak how we feel. And, a lot less stuff is swept under the rug on my mama's side of the family. Like, no, whether you're an elder or whether you my age, you know, we speak our piece and tell each other when we're wrong and hold each other accountable and treat each other as such. Like, you know, I love you, but now you may not be allowed to my house, or, you know, now I have to feed you with a long-handled spoon based on your actions. And I feel like that's accountability. There's definitely more accountability on my mom's side of the family than my dad's side of the family. So it impacted me. Another thing that impacted me growing up is, and I talked about this in another video about being dark-skinned, I feel like because my dad's side of the family was from the South, you know, so they had this South mentality that if you were too dark or if you were in the sun, then that was frowned upon. Like, you better get out that sun before you get too black. Or, you know, it was like a colorism issue that developed very young in my life, which caused me trauma to where through my teenage years and early in my 20s, I may have not liked my dark skin. You know, I may have not liked my curly hair. Because for them it was like a straightened comb, and you know, your hair needed to be a certain way. And for me, it took me time to unlearn those things. You know, just forgive me, I'm just taking a moment to really think about anything else that may have negatively impacted me growing up on both sides of my family. I mean, drugs and alcohol was also, it was always a part of both sides of the family. You know, I feel like when we get older, though, we get to choose our choices and choose what it is that we want to continue to do that we may have saw somebody else doing, or if you like, you know what, I don't want to be a part of their life, so I'm not going to blame that on nobody. I make my own choices. I'm a grown-ass woman, you know. So the next thing I want to slide into is setting boundaries with these toxic family members, and I kind of touched on that a few moments ago. But when we get older and, you know, you get your own house and your own car, and even if you know, we have our own kids, now once you get older and you be like, oh, this person in my family is not gonna change, you know, or has not changed my whole life, whether that's your mom, dad, you know, sister, brother, cousin, auntie, uncle, you know, it's like we remember them growing up as being like the drunk auntie or, you know, the drunk uncle. But it's like when they get older and they still have that same toxic mentality to where, you know, it's not a phase, or that's just what they grew into even as they got older, was to be the drunk and, or just the toxic one in the family that come to the family functions and always want to fight or always want to argue. Now you set boundaries for those family members. It's not that I don't love you, but I gotta love you from a distance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to make sure that what you got going on does not disturb this peace that I created in my life, this peace in my aura. So it's so important, and I still preach this to this day, because I have family members that I love that may be dealing with a toxic situation or toxic family members, and they don't know how to release that and let it go. And I tell them that God did not put you on this earth to be the overseer of this person. Yes, we love them, but the love that we have for them it becomes more important than our peace. And that's when the problem comes in. Like, you allow this person to interrupt your life and disturb your peace consistently. That's when I be like, you got to release that and let that love go and love them from a distance, you know. So make sure that you are grounding yourself and putting some space in between you and the family toxic members, you and those toxic family members, because it's so important. It's so important. The next thing I'm going to ask you to do is to identify the older people in our life, or our ancestors or our elders. So identify their strengths and opportunities. I'll start with these strengths first. We took care of each other. They took care of us. We never was hungry. We never was dirty. We never felt like we wanted for anything, or if anything was missing, you know, and that's a blessing, because when you look at life now and you see how, you know, and I'm not saying we was rich. I'm not saying I had tags on all my clothes. What I'm saying is I had good meals, and I was clean in a bathtub, and I had clean clothes, and that is a blessing. And I felt like the older people in my life made sure that some things were just a necessity. Like, we gonna eat, and we gonna be clean, and we going to, certain things were just standard. You know, we gonna celebrate Christmas, thank God. We gonna have presents. You know, I never had a Christmas that I didn't have a present, and I'm thankful for that. I'm very, very thankful for that, because it could have been very different for me in my life. So I appreciate them for doing that. Now, opportunities, and this is both sides of my family. The strengths for this last one was for both sides of my family. So, y'all, this wind ain't playing. Like, it's 80-something degrees, but the wind just making its presence known. Opportunities on both sides of my family. Financial literacy. My grandma was probably the only person that like saved and had money and was able to allow us to borrow money. And I always pay my grandma back, because she was like my little personal bank. I know I could go to her, withdraw some funds, and then deposit it and pay her right back. But other than that, nobody in my family saved money. Nobody in my family really, you know, bought property or houses to pass down, or to be like to to claim it as something as their own. And I'm not saying, I got a couple aunties. Now, my aunties down south, they all own their houses and they all, you know, kind of created something for themselves. But my family up here in Detroit and Pontiac, it was always just issues with saving and money, and it was always a lack there. And that was something that I knew growing up and now, you know. Another opportunity was, what else? I don't really know what else they had going on. Besides the money issue, I feel like just togetherness on my mom's side of the family. And this is not like a blame video. This is an awareness video, because I know I'm not the only person who got older and was like, you know what? It is some generational curses that I want to break in my life. Like, I no longer want to sweep things under the rug. And I talk about that too. I'm just reading from my list. Now as an adult, identifying the curses that I want to break, which would definitely be, I don't want lack in my life, period. You know, like, I will obtain financial freedom, and I will set my kids up to where their lives will be a lot easier than mine, because I will have real estate and I will have businesses and assets that I can show them about and teach them financial literacy and teach them about saving and teach them what it means to make your own money and save your own money and spend, and you know what I'm saying? So I definitely want to break that curse. I definitely want to allow my kids to have a voice. Like, you made me feel like this. I don't like when you did that. And I won't take that as them talking back. I will take that as them expressing themselves and knowing what love feels like and knowing what betrayal feels like. And, you know, being able to say, this is how you made me feel. And I really want to head just that stigma of talking back. Like, my kids don't know the difference between talking back and expressing themselves, because I'm going to make sure that I instill that with them. I'm also going to hold everybody accountable. Everybody, including myself, I hold myself accountable all the time. And I'm going to hold them accountable, and they are going to know what it looks like to be held accountable and to hold other people accountable. Because accountability, it sticks with you from young to adulthood. And if you lack accountability in your life, it's going to cause so many other things to just not go well in your life, because you feel entitled. You feel like you can do no wrong. You feel like there's no consequences behind actions. And that, I definitely want to dead that. I want a togetherness. I want just real family. It's like I see it in my head, and I'm manifesting this family and this husband and these kids, and you know, and once you know better, you do better. And when I learn, even though my mom is older and, you know, people around me may be older, I share my experiences with them, and I share the things with them that I am learning. You know what I'm saying? So, things that I want to break. I no longer want my people to heal from conversations that were swept up under the rug at an early age, you know, which created built up trauma that never was discussed or never was talked about. You know, I'm not creating a family like that. I refuse. Like, no, we're going to put it all on the floor. Matter of fact, I want to have like weekly family time where put it on the floor. You know, how did your siblings make you feel? How did mommy make you feel? How did daddy make you feel? You know, I want healthiness. Okay, I don't want any toxic. And I'm not saying that it's perfect or perfection. I'm just saying that things that I can help and control, that's what I want to do. I want to help and control the things that I can. So those are the things that I am shooting for, with breaking generational curses, breaking family toxicness, and just being the change that I want to see. That's it. All I can do is lead by example and create another generation to where my kids have kids. They'll be like, well, my mama and daddy taught me this, and this is the things that they stood for. Like, that type of stuff is important for me, because it's not about me. It's going to be about my legacy and my kids and my grandkids, and just what I'm leaving behind and how I'm moving right now. So the reason why I move like this right now in 2021 is because I am being the change that I want to see. And that's just it. That's the realest, rawest ever. You know, I'm gonna always be real. I'm gonna always come to y'all on the 100 tip. So I hope that y'all vibing with me. I hope that you can now look at your family and be like, what are some things that I want to identify in my family? Make sure that you get this book. It's so many things: love, family, life, yourself, learning yourself better, and just wanting to do better. Make sure that you like and subscribe so that I know that y'all rocking with me, so that you're gonna be tuned for the next video.